Every home has a story to tell, and some of that story involves secrets. Some secrets you find out before you ever visit the home. Other secrets you find out during the home inspection. But other secrets you won't find out at all unless you do one very important thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today on Experience St. John's. Welcome back. If this is our first time together, I'm Gary Davis, Realtor with Coldwell Banker Vanguard Realty and creator of Experience St. John's. So this one very important thing is something most people don't think about, which is kind of funny because it is something we use every day. And what is this one very important thing? Google. So you're probably wondering, Google? Why Google? What's Google going to tell me about the house that I wouldn't know by visiting the house or poring over the seller's disclosure? Well, in short, Google can tell you a lot of things that neither visiting the house or looking at the seller's disclosure will tell you. And the last thing is pretty surprising. First, go to Google Earth and pull up the satellite view like I'm doing here. You may very well discover some things about the home that could impede your enjoyment of the property and affect your resale value in the future. Things that you might not have seen even though you visited the home and walked the property. For example, these homes here are just a stone's throw from the railroad tracks on US 1, but you'd have no idea from the backyard because there's a tree line serving as a buffer between the home and the tracks. Now, from the backyard on these houses, it likely looks like you back up to a preserved lot. Probably all you can see is trees. However, you'll quickly realize that's not the case, because as anyone who travels up and down US 1 with any regularity knows, these railroad tracks are used a lot, and trains come through all hours of the day and night. And I love trains, but I really don't want to hear one rolling through at 2 a.m., and I really don't want to buy a house that somebody else may not want to buy because the railroad tracks are so close. And here's another example of trees blocking a huge intersection of several different highways behind homes. You can bet this is noisy, but you might not notice the noise when touring the home because it could be at the time of day that isn't very busy, or maybe the sellers have a water feature or something else in the yard that helps mask the sound. No matter what you hear during the day, the noise from those tractor-trailer horns and loud cars and motorcycles will easily carry through the quiet night and into your home while you're trying to sleep. So this is definitely something you want to know about before buying a home that close to that major intersection of highways. And here's another example, and in my opinion, this is an egregious example of a builder trying to mask something unwanted by hiding it behind trees. In this case, there was a water treatment facility in a neighborhood, but there was no way of seeing it unless you looked at the satellite view because it was left well obscured by trees. Plenty of buyers bought homes in this neighborhood having no idea that a water treatment facility was just steps away. In the wintertime, it wasn't a problem, but once the summer came, you can bet you were not enjoying any nights out on your patio, and it wasn't because of the mosquitoes. A few other things you might want to check for around the home are its proximity to restaurants and bars, especially if they have outdoor music that could get really loud at night. Also, check for the proximity to power lines and cell phone towers. A lot of buyers do not want that in their backyard, and it absolutely does affect resale value. And the last thing, look for any swampy areas or areas of standing water that might be obscured by trees. All of these things could affect your resale value in the future, but it could also affect your own enjoyment of the home. And last, but certainly not least, the one piece of information that Google can tell you that no visit to a house ever will is if anything newsworthy ever happened there. And you might be wondering, well, what newsworthy event would happen at a house? It's just a house, right? Well, anytime a major crime is committed at a house, that's a newsworthy event. And sometimes those crimes are murders. I should probably change the color of the lights for this. That's better. In my career as a realtor, I've sold almost 200 homes here in Northeast Florida. And of those homes, 2 were the scenes of brutal murders. One of them was even featured on an episode of Forensic Files. What a lot of people don't realize is that here in the state of Florida, a death in a home, even a murder, does not need to be disclosed to buyers unless they directly ask either the seller or the seller's agent. In both of these instances, my sellers bought their homes with no knowledge of the home's infamous past. For one seller, she found out on the day she bought the home. She went outside to check the mail, and the neighbor came across the street to introduce herself. And what was the first thing the neighbor told her? Hey, did you know that a murder occurred in your garage? How's that for a welcome to the neighborhood? For the other seller, she'd actually lived in the home a while with her family and had no knowledge of the home's past until one Saturday she was hanging out in the living room and heard a knock at the door. The knock at the door was a producer from Forensic Files. He had a camera crew and he wanted to know if he could come in and get some footage. Why? Because they were making an episode about the murder that occurred there. That's not how she expected to spend that Saturday for sure. So I know you're wondering, when they sold the homes, did they tell the new buyers that the murders happened there? They did. But not every seller is going to do that. So you need to be sure you do your due diligence before you purchase the home if something like that is going to bother you. In real estate, we have a saying, caveat emptor. That's Latin for buyer beware. And Google is one of the very best tools that can help you as a buyer be aware when you're buying a new home. It will help you see things that you might not be able to see from visiting the house and things that you wouldn't be able to see at all. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, here's another one you might like. I'll look forward to seeing you right back here next time on Experience St. John's.